So how are we going to do this? How are we going to get this visual prayer going? Because a lot of people just says like, I don't know how to write a story. I don't know how to do any of this. The first thing we start talking about is what our inabilities. As soon as a challenge is brought to you, then you begin to say, well, I'm not able to do this, or I don't know how I could do this. Well, you have to think like, I'm driving down the road in my... So what am I driving down the road in? What are you driving down the road in? I'm driving down the road in not where I am. See, I'm driving down the road in where I want to be. I'm driving down the road in whatever it is that I want, that next thing that I want. Or I'm walking into, putting my key into that next thing that I want. Or I'm on my way to the job, the next job that I want, or the next thing that I want. I'm headed to ministry, whatever. I'm headed to the building. I'm headed to the church building. That's one of my stories. See, and the thing is, it's kind of like, when you're sewing, and I say to you, try to keep it down to about 3 things that you can constantly watch and babysit and monitor. And when you put these things in perspective, you'll be able to better understand. For example, if I'm taking care of a child, I want to make sure that child is fed on time. I want to make sure that child is clean. I want to make sure that nothing comes and distracts or that child, or when I say distracts, causes it to get into any danger. I'm going to baby proof the house. And those kinds of things, I'm taking care with this particular little human. Well, it's the same concept when you're talking about sewing. And we talk about sewing. Well, our ministry is based on this, on sewing and having an understanding. And we don't have to talk about it as much as we once did, because now we understand it. It's not just one person's understanding. We understand the process. We understand that concept of sewing. But now the concept of sewing is a foundational understanding. And you can take that foundational understanding and apply it to other aspects of your life as you continue to grow and prosper in your kingdom conscious mind. And so when you think about telling a story, you think about things that are around you. You think about things that surround you, and think about the things that you do. Whereas when you make an affirmation, the Lord shall supply all my need according to his riches and glory. Well, you're making an affirming statement. You're making an affirmation. Today, that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about making just affirmation, because you know what? You're putting down sprouts here and you're putting down sprouts there, and then 5 days later, you're not caring for those sprouts. You're just constantly saying these affirmations, but you're not caring for them. When I say you're not caring for them, I mean that you're not cultivating them so that they may grow. You're just saying them because I've been instructed to say them. The difference is when you're talking about this type of prayer, visual prayer, then you got the vision in front of you. Now you have to use your mental space. You have to show that, in your mind, that the things that you can see, because you can visualize in your mind the thing that you want to see. This is a superpower that you have. See, prayer is your superpower. But you have to learn how to use it. You cannot just, I'm just going to pray. You can't just pray in the spirit and say, okay, everything is good. Because for one thing, you don't know what you're saying. And now, they used to say to us, or they taught us, to get a visual and then just start praying in the spirit. I've yet to see any of those things that I was praying in the spirit for visually come to pass. Because, see, there's got to be understanding behind the thing that you're pressing for. If you don't understand it, then your conscious and your subconscious mind can't agree. They can't get together because you don't know what you said in spirit, in the realm of the spirit, when you're just speaking in tongues. Whereas when you begin to visualize and write your story, not only do you visualize and see it, but you also see it on paper. So you're speaking out. It's like you're being prophetic. It's a key to prophetic understanding. It's a key to it. You know, the Bible talks about all of us can prophesy. And fear is one of the reasons why the people of God do not get into the realm of the prophetic, or don't really understand the realm of the prophetic, or think that it's some kind of soup that you mix up and eat. And it's not. It's not. You're prophetic people. And the reason you're a prophetic people is because you're in that bubble. You're in that God. You're in God. So you can't help but be prophetic. And they may call it intuition. They have other names for it that the world may use, because everybody on this planet is in God. And that's why he talks about I reign on the just as well as the unjust, because everybody's in God. He created all. But we are trying to not just understand, but master these things. Because when you begin to master these things, you will see such a change. Now we have, you know, through the exercises that we do and the things that we learn, we're always having continual change within ourselves, within our families. And that is a blessing, because there was a time when, you know, you turn on the car and it wouldn't go nowhere. You couldn't get the engine to turn over. Now you know how to turn that engine over. Now you know how to get that car moving. You know what it does to change the tires. You know what it means to change the oil. You know what it takes to keep that car moving. And that's what we're talking about here when we talk about visualizing different things that you want to see. This is not about I just want to get this and I just want to get that. That's not what we're talking about. That's not what we're talking about. This is not something where every day you got to go into your closet and tell a story or anything like that. That's not what this is. As a matter of fact, this is something to do once or twice a week, if that much. This is something to really add to your arsenal, because I really want you not just to prosper, but I want you to see God. I want you to be so connected to the Father through understanding who He is and the benefits that He has provided to you. The writer in the book that we're discussing right now talks about entitlement, and we're always talking about entitlement, okay? But in talking about entitlement, we still don't get it. So if we don't get it, we got to keep talking about it until we get it. We don't have to go to the elementary things. We don't need to be in church trying to get our shout on. We need to get understanding. And it's one of the most important things that we need to do, is to gain that understanding. I do not want to see us as prisoners. You know, prisoners of prosperity or prisoners of this or that. I don't want you to be a prisoner even to that, because I don't want you to think that it's all about material things. It isn't. It's not just about material things. It's about having all, you know, having everything that you need, want, or desire. That is the right things to need, want, and desire. Okay? Because, you know, we have a corruptible mind. So we have to be careful about even the things that we want and desire. They got to be in line with Him, who is God. It's got to be in line with Him. You know, it can't be based on just what you want, and it's not healthy or good for you. So you have to use in wisdom. That's an important part of it as well. But when you are visualizing, you know, it's not an easy thing when you're doing it on purpose. when you have to do things on purpose, it becomes more of a challenge, because now you have to focus, and now you have to get centered, and now you have to be the one that's in control. Where when you think like evil thoughts, like you might get angry at somebody and you visualize them hanging by the neck or something, I don't know. Those are the kinds of thoughts that you just have that kind of come about because of your emotion at that moment, how you emotionally feel. And you have to take your emotion out of visualizing. And that's one of the reasons why using music to soothe the beast, so to speak. But the music is going to be soothing, whether it's worship music or, they call this stuff soaking music or whatever. It's just got to work for you. And it cannot be something that has like a tune. Like I was listening to something and it was instrumental, and then it started going into "You alone are my sword and shield." So now, where I'm focusing on whatever I might have been thinking about, I immediately got pulled into the tune because I recognized the tune. And then then it went on, and then it went on, and then the next thing, another tune that I recognized came up. So whatever I might have been doing, I was distracted because I was pulled away by that sound. And sound is a powerful thing when you're trying to focus. And you want to focus on one. You want to focus on this one thing. And that one thing is to be the sound or that vibration that you're going to be making. That one sound that you're going to make as you are listening to this music. And you're going to be speaking at the same time you're listening to the music. And every outside distraction is going to be gone. And in the midst of that, you might get happy. You may start crying. You may, any of these things can happen when you start visualizing. And if your visual exercise that you're going to be doing, that may be, I want a closer walk with the Lord, which we all, want to be glued to Jesus. But, you may want a closer walk with the Lord. You may want more relationship. You may want to be more expressive in your worship. There's so many different things that you can do. And you may have a desire to do as it relates to relationship with Christ. You just don't know how to get there. And so this is going to help you get there a little quicker. It's going to help you understand how you got there. You see, what we tend to do is think that, the things that worked 20 years ago work today. Not saying that they don't. I mean, if you just want to just do stuff for the sake of doing it, I'm sure it'll work at some point, but you have to understand you're dealing with a relevant God. What does that mean? Well, for one thing, God's up with the times. We have so many people that are uncomfortable with change. And they're uncomfortable with change, and you can tell because they keep saying we need to go back to the old way. We need to go back there. We need to do it like we used to do it. No, you don't. This is the 21st century. And you're dealing with a whole bunch of knuckleheads that have no idea about the old, and they ain't gonna get with it. And you have to be relevant with the times without sacrificing your convictions. And that's the thing. A lot of people have ministers and things, they sacrifice their conviction and allow things to come, spirits really, to come into the church and be a part of the church that Everything that's going on out there in the world cannot be translated into church service. It can't be. Because some things just are not meant to be in the church. But if you're not relevant and you start grasping at different things to see, to try to make something work. It's kind of like when you're watching television shows and now you can binge watch, as they say, a show for 12, 14, 16, 20 episodes. You can binge watch the show, and then when the show is over, you're kind of like, what do I do now? Where do I go? You're lost because you're in a hole. And that's something that happens because at that moment you're seeing. You got something to fill that void. You got something to fill that need for entertainment or whatever the case may be. So once that entertainment need it can no longer be filled, then it starts, it's like, well, what do I do now? Where do I go? And that's kind of how it is. There are just certain channels or needs that we have within ourselves that when they run out, well, what's the next step? What's the next thing that you do? But God is not like that. It's not like a need and then there's no need there. He's not like a channel and then he turns off and you can't get back to that channel. That's not God. That's got nothing to do with the things that we're talking about or the things that we deal with. But that's how it has been perceived. That's how we've lived as the Church of Jesus Christ for so long. And it is difficult to get people to change. But we're doing really good. Oh man, it's right there. We're doing really great at change and getting change to come about. So, it's awesome and God is awesome and you're awesome. So having said that as an example, I just want you to understand where we're trying to go with this visual prayer and understanding. And I'll probably be talking about it more and more just till you get the concept. And when you start getting results, then I won't have to work so hard at getting this across to you because you'll be like, ooh, thank you, Jesus. This works. And you have to understand that all things work together for your good. This is not like some new thing. This is a way. This is a way. One person may get skilled at, and it's a skill that you develop. One person will grab a hold and gain the skill and run on for Jesus. And another person will be stuck and be like, I am having the hardest time with this particular thing. So it depends. It just depends. It's just another skill to acquire. And I want you to take time to acquire this skill because it's going to benefit you and your family and all of the things that you're trying to get to work for you. Think about the vacations that you want to take. Think about the things that you want to do in the church. Think about the things that you want to do in life and how you want to have that fulfilling life. And through that, we will continue to learn how to work with and how to utilize visual prayer. Amen. God bless you.